All right, we'll take a look at subtracting fractions here. Now, in order to subtract a fraction, we're going to start off by letting you know that denominators have to be the same in order to subtract any fraction. So that's the first thing that you have to check for, is that they're the same. In this case, they are the same, so we know that we can start subtracting right away. The other thing we have to look for is that the number that we are subtracting from, in this case 5, is larger than the number that you're taking away from it. Okay, that is very important when we're looking at it. So, in other words, this number here has to be bigger than this number here in order to take anything away from it. Okay? All right, so what we have here is we have 5, 6 take away 3, 6. No problem. The important thing to remember when adding or subtracting fractions is that you do not subtract or add the denominators. They stay the same no matter what. So to make things simple, I always just go in and I just write in 6 right there on the bottom, or whatever the denominator is. I just write it in. It's the first thing I do so that I don't make any mistakes. Now what I have to do is I do subtract or add the numerators depending on what I'm told to do. In this case, we're subtracting. So 5 minus 3 is 2. All right, quickly taking a look at another example. We've got an improper fraction this time. And we're subtracting a proper fraction. So we got 9, 6 minus 4, 6. Well, because our denominators are the same, we know right away that all we have to do is just go in there and write our denominator in. Okay, now what we have to do is we actually have to subtract 4 from 9. All right, well, let's do that. Well, 9 minus 4 is 5, and that gives us our answer of 5, 6. Well, just another example to show you what happens when our answer is going to be larger than 6. So in this case, we can see that 9 minus 2 is going to give us an improper fraction of 7 over 6. That is a correct answer. We could also write it as a mixed number as 1 and 1 6. And the reason we could say that is because we could pull 6, we can subtract 6 out of here, and we would still have 1 left over, and so therefore 6 over 6 would be 1 whole, and we would still have 1/6 remaining, so that's where we would end up getting the 1/6 from. Well, what happens when we have our two denominators that are not the same? Well, just like when we're adding, we have to find a way to make them the same. So the way that we do is we find our lowest common multiple. And so in this case, we're just going to start off. And remember, when we're finding our lowest common multiple, that is just simply skip counting. A multiple is just skip counting. It's just how many times you've actually had to skip count. So let's start skip counting. So we have 2, 4, 6. Well, hang on a sec. I got 6 here. And I've already got 6 here. And believe it or not, 6 is a multiple of 6, because 6 is a multiple of 6 times 1. 6 times 2, 6 times 3, all right, and in which case you would have 12 and 18. Well, we can see clearly that 6 is the lowest common multiple. So we don't have to change this one at all. We can just leave it as is. The only one we're going to have to change is 1/2. So how do we do that? Well, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to multiply this number in order to change this into something over 6. So, extend it out. How many multiples do we have to have in order to turn that into 6? Well, we have to multiply it 3 times. And when we multiply the bottom, we also have to multiply the top. So now our equation becomes 5, 6 minus 3, 6, which equals 2 over 6.